Dear viewers, in part 1 of this series, we heard Mr. Sudhsrshan Lodha speaking to you the interesting story of how he created the fractional commercial real estate in India and developed it as an asset class. In this episode, which is part 2 of the same episode which we have recorded earlier, Mr. Sudhsrshan Lodha is going to talk to you about how he overcome the challenges and how he made it a popular one, and he is going to share with all of you his vision for the next 10 years, what Strata is likely to become, and what are the opportunities available for you to invest in this particular segment. This is NRI Money Clinic for you, and I am Dr. Chandrakant Bhatt, your financial guide for a happy living.
NRI Money Clinic. No hype, just the right advice.
Well, Mr. Lodha, one more question for you. When we talk about real estate and when we talk about Strata, the first impression that an investor gets is Strata is a builder because they haven't thought anything beyond the builder's profile. How do you describe yourself? Are you the builder, or how different are you from a builder?
Got it. So the whole developer or builder community to investors looks like a more abused word, unfortunately, and so rightly because of all the past behaviors people have done as such. The idea is to be that custodian in between to handle the developer and its expectations or its unwanted demands which he can have and all the harassment which people have gone through. Handling that part on one side, and the other side is the investors taking care of all the protection, which means finish off all the work, etc., whatever is required so that it becomes. So we are more a bridge between a developer and the investor per se. We are not developers as such. We didn't want to get into that domain. It's a very, very different muscle which we don't have. We're very happy sitting in an office, making the best calls for our investors and making money for them, vis-a-vis sitting out and trying to handle all sorts of problems which come legal, local issues, governmental issues, etc. So we're not into that. So we are clear asset managers. Our only agenda is making money for the investors who deploy money with us. No other purpose.
So is it safe to say that Strata is a mediator, friend of investors, which is between owning your own properties and on the investor? So you stand in between and solve the problem of investor. Is that a clear description?
Absolutely. I'm friends with both.
Right.
The developer community as well as the investor community, and be that face or that custodian which can ensure that lost reputation of the developer community can be brought back is what I do. So work with the good reputed developers, build good assets with them so that the investors who want to back good developers, their capital is always available for a developer. So it's more about making a developer understand that you respect and make money for investors. We'll also reciprocate and make money for you as well. And that's a win-win situation. We can build the new India together.
So you're just like a fund manager in a mutual fund industry. Almost.
Quasi, I can say, but like I said, our job is not, our first job is, let's assume, to get an investor and a developer on board to the same platform and buy a particular property. But my 95% of my work, that's very small part of the business, right? 95% is managing that property, handling the whole tenant, the engagement with the tenants on a regular basis, taking the valuation, taking a call, when to exit, etc. That's my core job. So I'm more an asset manager, not a fund manager. Fund management part of getting an investor marry with the developer initially is a very, very small subset of our entire business.
Okay. Mr. Lodha, your growth is phenomenal. In a span of 3 years, if I heard you right, your total assets today are somewhere closer to 1,000 odd crores, which you are managing. It's a phenomenal growth. Based on these 3 years of your experience, how did the situations have panned out? My specific reference is how many projects you have done, which are the locations you have done, how have you fared with the investor, what promises you have made, have you kept? Were there situations where you could not keep up the promises, or there were surprise situations which have developed in between because of which you learned? Can you share a few thoughts for the benefit of my viewers?
Sure, absolutely. So we are about 982 crore exactly in terms of our AUM as of today. So just about 1,000 as of today. We're hitting the 1,000 crore club, as we call it. But having said that, we have about 22 properties. We're the only ones in India who have diversified investors portfolio across 4 asset classes, which is industrial, warehousing, office and retail. We are currently spread across 6 locations. We are in Bangalore, we are in Chennai, we are in Hyderabad, we are in Bombay, we are in Pune, and now also we are in Jaipur, which is a tier 2 location. So tier 2 is a very promising story as such, especially for the new India we are talking about, where tier 2 led growth story is also going to happen. We don't use the words promises or guaranteed. End of the day, I don't own a single property, or I'm not developing the particular property, or I'm not the tenant where I'm going to guarantee you rents. Our job is an asset manager, means the risk associated with anything of that sort, our job is to mitigate those risks. But however, the entire rewards of the entire property is still yours, right, at the end of the day. So hence, there's no promises or guaranteed. In fact, if we ever use that word, you should run away. Because then there's some other interest associated with our business vis-a-vis that. So we always target a particular kind of a return which we could make out of our investments for our investors, and that's what we do. So typically about 12 to 14% on a conservative note is what we target for investors. As such, we are exiting one of our properties where we're making over and above what we are targeted, close to about 400 basis point more. But that's not going to happen in all your assets, right? Which is why we tell diversify, because certain markets can outgrow, certain markets can be flat. And it's important for you to be a part of all the journey or take a call in those respective journeys. But in terms of learnings which we've got over the last 3 years now, ever since we started business, is be a dominant player in the market. Don't be just one of the players in a particular market, because you cannot do justice to your work. Because when you're a dominant player, everybody will call you first and ask for things, or everybody will know you and work with you very proactively. Assume in just, let's say in one market, I just have one floor. Let's say if we are not in Delhi today, but I have just one floor in Delhi. Who knows me in Delhi? I'm nobody in Delhi, unless we have a clear strategy of making a large Delhi portfolio or Delhi NCR portfolio. There's no point of you investing. So when we invest into a particular thing, which means we thoroughly study the market, we know folks in the market, then we make our first call, provided we know second, third, fourth, fifth call is also ready in terms of our pipeline. Otherwise, there's no point going into it, right? So that's one of the core learnings. Like for instance, in Hosur, where we have 25, 30 lakh square feet of portfolio, everybody knows us. Every tenant first calls us and says, do you have space, right? Which means while we are completely full as of today, what gives us the potential is if anybody leaves, we know there are 5 ready to come into the thing. I can choose which one to probably take in, right? So that is the power I want to be in. That is the position I want my investors to be in. And that's when we want to continue making our investment calls.
Mr. Lodha, see, India is a very vast country, tremendous opportunities, but messy state of affairs, real estate, the problems galore. How do you wade through this when you pick up properties or a sector or an asset? What exactly is the processes that you follow to pick up these properties and make it a success story?
I'm no new person, so those problems exist for us as well. It's not that it doesn't, but the idea is to choose what you are ready to accept, what you can get through with those problems, what are irreparable. There's no point entering into that thing, right? And when you know you're going to fall, then there's no point of you taking that call as well, right? So first and foremost, very important for us is, like I said, we're tech first, which means data is very important for me. If there's no data-led information for any property, we don't invest into a particular thing, right? So when we start buying a property, let's assume we get a property to buy UBCT as an example in Bangalore. We have our data platform where we are able to track all the sale and lease data of the entire building and the 5 kilometer micro market. Very important for you to make a comparison of an apple to apple, a grade A versus a grade A. There's no point taking a grade B and saying, oh, he's getting 60 rupees, you're getting 160. There's no match, because this building specs is very different from this building specs. But we do that thorough micro market research, again data led, which means we have all the sale and lease registered data of the government. We have the copy itself, so we know who's transacted at what price, who's leasing at what price, what is the lease durations, what is the gentry of tenants in this particular kind of building, so we know what kind of gentry I can attract in future and build my network in that particular gentry as such. So that is very, very important. Number one, data led, to know the pricing at which we are entering. And it's very important for investors to know if you're buying at a market, you're buying at a discount, you're buying at a premium. Even if you're buying at a premium, you should be aware you're buying at a premium. There should be pros and cons why you're buying at a premium. If you're buying at a discount also, you should know why pros and cons. Why are you getting it at a discount as well? And if it's market, so be it at market price as well for you to do. And historically, we share information to our investors as well. And something which we have data is that how this micro market has performed in the last 5 to 7 years. What were the rentals, what are the sale prices, and what are the rentals, what are the sale prices now, and what probably can be the growth trajectory people can see from past performance as number one. Second, we do a legal check, which is very important for us. So a thorough legal due diligence goes with respect to the title of the property, the approvals, etc. That's very, very important for us. So we hire a tier 1 law firm which does the entire legal due diligence. While we have a very strong in-house team, we still engage an external thing because we can sometimes get biased for whatever's worth. But an external, acknowledgement is very, very important for us before, because end of the day, it's investors' money. We don't mind spending 5-10 lakh on legal fees, because for an investor, it at max will be about 5-10,000 rupees from his investment which he's making at a grand scheme of things, which is why we go and make those kind of decisions for investors by taking that. Third is tenant check. Very important to see the kind of rents the tenant is paying, and the other buildings in which if the tenant exists, what are the rents they're paying as well, because it's very important for you to see if you're at the right price, because there's a chance that the tenant might leave if he's paying a very higher price. So that is very important, and we go meet the tenants before we buy a property. Very important to understand what division they're working into, how critical is this division for the company. So all that kind of due diligence goes in, and then we check with the finance guys if there's any issues in the property itself, because that itself is my first port of call. If there's any issue in the property, traffic issue, water leakage issue, or facilities not being maintained properly, or the developer was creating an issue for the tenant. So all those checks and balances happen face to face, because the tenant also knows I'm going to be the new landlord, so he opens up completely. It's like somebody wanting to rant out that ye problem hai, solve this, other, I'm going to vacate the property. We get that opportunity to talk one-on-one with our tenants before we make a call like that. Fourth, we do a technical due diligence about a property, which means we check right from safety norms to approvals to the certifications the building has, including the elevators, renewals, is it happened on time, not happened on time, property taxes paid on time or not paid on time. We call for the rent receipt from the investors as part of technical due diligence as well, to check if the tenant has been paying on time or not, etc. So these are also another checks and balances which we do. The fifth and the biggest checks and balances now which we do is our investors themselves. Who are these investors? And we've realized the power of our network which we've created with our investors. These are investors who work in the same companies whose offices we are acquiring. So many of our investors do share their profile of where they are, what they're working as part of the KYC which we do. And otherwise we try finding on LinkedIn itself that, where is Mr. Chandrakant working, or XYZ person working, which sector he's working in, etc. And we categorize our investors accordingly. And then whenever any deal comes, we very, very shamelessly call our investors, sir, you have to put money, tell me insights about this particular industry in itself, or about the tenant. If you know people who work in this particular company, check with them how long are they planning to stay in this particular property, what is the division they're working, how critical is this division, etc. That is very, very, very critical. And I would say close to 8 out of 10 properties we've done is through investor ref checks, where we've gone and acquired that property. Now that is something which we're doing in a very closed room. Part of the summit which we had informed investors we want to do it in a more public style, so that you come forward and you share information to us. Insights, it's not that it's insider info. Share insights. Are you staying, not staying? How healthy is this company, etc., etc. Or if you're part of the industry, is the company paying its vendors on time? How good is the company, etc. So we do all that kind of due diligence as well. So 95% of our due diligence is data-led. 5% is, I would say, is gut call. End of the day, you have to take a gut call, right? That yes, if you're buying at a premium, is it still worthy enough for me to make a long-term value appreciation over a period of time? But that is very, very critical for us, right? So we know even if we fail in any of the investments per se, we know 95% we were right, 5% we were wrong. It's still a great, great thing vis-a-vis a current investor who makes a call, which is almost 40 to even lower. In fact, 20-30% is data-led, which is he asks his friends with his close, what is the price going in this price, what is the rents going. He has no data as handy as we have as such. So hence my chances of failure is at least 10 times lower vis-a-vis an investor who buys directly as such. So that's what we are again doing at the end of it.
Mr. Lodha, you are CEO of this company. We have been associated with you for quite some time now, and many of our clients are invested with you. One of the often asked questions by the investor community to me is, how my money is safe there? When I invest through Strata, where does the money really go? Does it go into the accounts of Strata? Are there escrow accounts? How will the money be genuinely used for buying these assets? How would you like to answer the questions of the investor community?
Very important question, to be very honest. So we have a common escrow account which we've created where we have a trustee. Vistra is our trustee. Vistra today is a trustee for over 12 lakh crores of money in India itself, from multiple mutual funds to funds, to platforms like ours as well. They are the trustee body as well. So they are the trustee agent, and we have ICICI Bank with whom we have our escrow accounts opened for our property. So all that money which people transfer directly goes into that account, where Strata has no linkage, no matter what. As such.
Nowhere it gets mixed with your company accounts.
Nowhere it gets. In fact, I can't take that money as well. Companies Act is also very, very critical. All this money becomes deposit rules, and I start violating deposits because I can't collect deposits. I'm not an NBFC. I'm not a bank to accept this kind of money at any moment. So the money never hits my bank account, no matter what, and cannot hit my bank account no matter what. That's very important. So goes through an escrow to directly to the company which is acquiring the property, where investors are shareholders. I don't have access to that bank account as well, again maintained by trustees, again the entire thing. I only do the distribution maker kind of a thing, where I make and say, okay, everyone has invested this much, pro rata this much rent should go to everybody. Checker is again the trustee, and the disbursement also happens with the trustee itself, right? So it's not that I control anything of that sort. With regulations coming, everything probably will move to CAMS, at least as a body, which is one of the best in the country as well, where again everything will get automated for the investors. So no money, even if it's the investment or the rent, comes to our bank account at any given point of time, right? Like my job is an asset manager. Consider me that you appointed somebody to look after your properties. I'm just that one person as your gatekeeper, looking after your properties on a regular basis. That's what my core job is. So your money is safe from that standpoint, where I'm not collecting. With respect to the entire investment being safe for the investors, we are investing into hard assets. You can't lose capital. At the end of the day, we invested into completed pre-tenanted assets or built-to-suit assets per se, where all the risks and mitigants are put in place to ensure investors' capital is safe. And that's what we consistently do for our investors. We like to take certain risks when it comes to build-to-suit, because there's an alpha to be made, a much better alpha to be made as such. But where money comes to us, we distribute or we keep the money with us at any given point of time, and including the paperwork or accounting statements of the SPVs in which investors give in is transparent. You can come and ask us at any point. We're happy to share anything. At end of the day, it's your company, your property. I'm just a gatekeeper on your behalf. I have no other role except just managing your investment on a regular basis.
Dear viewers, we have partnered with Strata to bring you the fractional real estate opportunities in India. If you have an intention to invest in the fractional commercial real estate of India, you can simply use the services provided by NRI Money Clinic. How to reach us? Very simple. Our number is shown here on the screen. Send us a WhatsApp message or just go to the description box. A link is there. Click on the description box. It takes you to the WhatsApp. Send us a message of your interest and we will help you to finalize the best of best properties which are available for you. Why delay? Send that message now. Mr. Lodha, you have properties, people come to know about the properties, but properties are not for everyone, nor every property is for every individual. Is there a role for advisors to play in this? Is there a beneficial arrangement for an investor to check through the advisors before they invest in a fractional real estate? What do you feel as the CEO of this company?
In India, generally, people's mindset is that they know real estate, they know it all, right? They know how this micro market functions, because historically real estate has not failed in general, but things have changed over the years. So, very important that while you know everything, there are advisors, their job is to know everything for you before you can ask all sorts of questions to them and they can answer. So it becomes, an advisor becomes a second layer of due diligence you can do while Strata is doing everything. There's another advisor who can do another layer of due diligence. Very rightly said, not every property is for every investor, because certain people might have a short-term mindset, somebody might have a long-term mindset, somebody might say, oh, it's an industrial asset, looks very lucrative, let me do it, but do you even understand the pros and cons of a particular property, etc., etc. So my general view is that always have an advisor on board whose view has been taken before you take an investment call. It doesn't take time. It just takes a 10 minutes call for you to get another third party lens into your investment decision, or to just check if you're right about whatever your perception was about this or your interpretation was about this particular micro market or investment as such. So role of an advisor is undervalued, unfortunately, in India, but it's the most critical role with respect to your investment as such, because your advisor also plays the role in knowing the platform which I was talking to you about, because let's say you are on a regular touch with us, you're checking what's happening, not just for your new investments, but even for existing. So it gives you a holistic view about how the platform is, how the people who are running the platform is, as well as the real estate industry itself, right? So an advisor becomes your ground, one more layer of due diligence on the ground, who can give you a right direction. Again, his interest is only to safeguard your money at the end of the day.
Thank you, Mr. Lodha. You have spoken about this commercial fractional real estate looks very promising, and you have proved yourself in the last 3 years that you can deliver, and you have become a ray of hope for those investors who want to invest in real estate. Before I let you go, one last question. What's your vision for Strata and commercial fractional real estate for next 10 years? Where are we heading? Where do you keep your sight? Where to reach?
Great. So this is something which my entire company is excited about, right? Like we want to get up the next morning because there's so many opportunities which we want to grab and make the best returns for the investors. India is a developing nation. We are 50% developed, which means 50% needs to be developed as well. We want to be part of the new 50% India, which is going to get created and make the maximum alpha for our investors, and that is something which is very important. From a vision standpoint, at least when I started, you were told, what's your vision? I would have told, I had mentioned in my pitch deck as well that in 5 years we'll make a 500 crore portfolio, because it used to be a very large number when we started. We didn't anticipate we'll become so large in such a short duration. But now our vision is, at least a short-term vision is to have $1 billion AUM for ourselves, which means we'll be amongst the top 5 or top 10 asset managers in India. Again, with that power, we'll have to do the best for our investors, because we can play a dominant role right from leasing to acquiring at the best rates, which we can, and bunch of other benefits you get when you become a dominant player. But a 10-year vision is to have a $10 billion industry created where we have $7-8 billion market share as such, right? So vision is always be a dominant player, be the number 1 player. Otherwise, there's no point running the business by being a number 2 or just being one of the players in the entire market, because you might not create the best alpha for your investors as such. So that keeps us going. That keeps everyone in our company going. That's the vision. That's the culture in the company as well, to go out and solve for the best and get the best deals for our investors.
Mr. Lodha, thank you very much for your time. I know how busy you are, and it's very difficult to get time with you, but you're very, very kind enough to spare your time and bring all the insights of this industry for the benefit of NRIs as well as the resident Indians. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time.
Dear viewers, hope the video that I have done today helped you to understand the finer points pertaining to fractional commercial real estate opportunity in India. If it did help you to understand all finer points of this, do like this video. If you are a person who is watching my channel for the first time, or if you are yet to subscribe for the channel, please hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon. Don't forget to share these videos with your near and dear ones, friends and relatives, and all the WhatsApp groups on which you are listed. Thank you very much for watching this episode on NRI Money Clinic. I shall be back with you with yet another useful topic in yet another video very, very soon. Till then, stay safe.
Press the bell icon for more details and subscribe our channel.